It's the bass that you love to hear. It means I'm walking over to hang out with my friend Kevin Kilbane. I like to call him my friend because he works here, and he's an acquaintance more than a friend. But eventually, we're going to be best buds. How are you, my friend?
I'm very good.
Good to see you.
Very good. We can call it a friendship.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. It's awesome to see you.
No, thanks for having me. Thank you.
Wow. Boy, did they need this win. And even before we get into the win, let's just talk about the goal from Jonathan David. And there's been so much talk about him maybe making a move to Chelsea of all clubs. That's wild. So he's been in the news. Then we've been talking about how he's been, he hasn't been able to score. How big of a goal is this for him?
It's big in every single way. Do you know what it is, Jay, as well? When the whole narrative, when Canada have not been able to get that win, it's all been negative, hasn't it? It's a bit of a negative feel. They can't get the win. They can't score against a major team at a major competition. Why is Johnny David not able to replicate what he does at Lille for the Canadian national side? Now, all of a sudden, it's put to bed. Everything's put away now. He's done it on the big stage. His teammates have backed him up with a great performance to get the win. And now we can move forward now to the Chile game, and we can say, look, we can reflect on that. But Canada have had that moment now. They've got something to draw on for the future, and specifically, of course, in 2 years' time, but particularly now in the next game against Chile. And I think now it'll give them so much confidence. What a moment, what a goal. But I think for Jonathan David especially, given, as you say, he's in the news this week, potentially moving this summer, I think it was just such a perfect fitting moment all round. It was.
And I'm sure his agent is thrilled because it probably makes him even more enticing for the Blues, right?
Yes.
So no Milan Borjan on this squad and his 80 caps, but, you have a couple of goaltenders, Dane St. Clair and now Max Crépeau, who, battling it out for that starting job, and it looks like it's Max's now.
Yes.
Just another terrific performance against Peru.
In my opinion, Jay, I think he's been Canada's best goalkeeper now for 3 or 4 years, even during the lead up to the World Cup when Milan Borjan was number one. I felt Max Crépeau is the best goalkeeper, but maybe because he's playing at that time, he's playing MLS now, but playing in the MLS, and maybe people thought because we have a player or a goalkeeper that's playing in Europe that we don't necessarily go to the MLS one. I just always felt with Max Crépeau, he's solid, he's reliable, he's dependable. If he makes mistakes, he will never get too erratic and make another mistake straight after, which sometimes you'll find with goalkeepers. It was maybe a flip of the coin who was going to replace Milan Borjan with Dane St. Clair, as you say, and I think Max Crépeau's performance against France in that big game just prior to Copa got him number one jersey against Argentina. He performed brilliantly and magnificently in that game, and he's backed that up with another. He's got a clean sheet, but I think 2 or 3 big saves, Jay, in the game. I think that now I think he can relax a little bit now in the thought that I am Canada's number one, and I've just got to take this forward.
You and I talked about, you're taking on Peru, you're taking on Chile. It's going to be physical. It's going to be a different brand of football than playing the Netherlands or France. And that was true in this one. You had the Alistair Johnston, the headbutt. That was not called.
What did you think? You think it was
Well, this is my next question is then you get the studs up Schaffelberg, and that's called. So I wanted to ask you, as someone who's played so much, been around the game so much, why the no call on Johnston? Why the call on the Schaffelberg?
Well, what we couldn't understand, we're watching it. I'm watching it with the Tiba there, and Stevie Coleman's on the call with Luke Wildman, and Stevie's saying it's a red card. It is a clear red card. In our game, there wasn't an awful lot, but it's a clear headbutt. He's gone to headbutt Alistair Johnston. What I would say is Alistair Johnston takes it like a man, essentially. He doesn't go down rolling around like you would see other players do. He doesn't go, screaming at the top of his voice.
Well, he is playing for Celtic, so
he's
that's probably
right.
dealing with a lot of...
That's my team. I'm a Celtic fan, so if he does that as a Celtic man, I wouldn't accept that either. But what he did was probably... I wouldn't say wrong. I would have probably done exactly the same thing, actually, what Jacob Schaffelberg... what Alistair Johnston did. Because... the referee then has got to look at it. The referee, when the VAR reviewed it, they reviewed the red card incident. We could see it clearly it was being reviewed. He should then have spoken to the referee, you need to go and see this. This is a red card incident. But the VAR, for some reason, didn't see it that way. What I think, though, Jay, I think he's gone in at half-time, and I think he's looked back at it, and I think he might have thought himself, that's a red card. That's a definite red card. I didn't give it fair enough. Comes out second half. And it was a red card. Look at the tackle on Jacob Schaffelberg. In isolation, it's a red card. Yes, I'm trying to think of his name. It was Araujo. He wins the ball, but it's the follow-through. And if you look at it again, it could have actually broken Jacob Schaffelberg's leg. That's a career-ending tackle. That is what the rule was changed maybe a few years ago now to say if you are going in an aggressive manner, in a endangering the safety of an opponent, it's a clear red card incident, and that's what happened, and the referee made the right call.
The way you asked me what I thought, I just thought it was a makeup call because that's what we do in hockey. We do the makeup calls. Okay, I don't want to lose sight about how massive this win is. And you talked about it. You know, we tend to be negative all the time if we're not winning.
Yeah.
It's such a massive victory just to get the points, right? And then knowing that after that win against Peru, now you go into Chile, and maybe we're not favored against Chile, but do you like our chances against these guys?
I do like Canada's chances, and maybe for a number of reasons. We're hoping, we have to hope now tonight, looking at the game, that Argentina can go ahead and, you know, and maybe just go ahead and just go and take the whole group, which would be great. But the way I like the chances against Chile is because I think they're more of an aging team. They weren't the Chile of maybe 10 or 15 years ago. They've still got a number of players around that team, around that roster, that were around during that time. So right. Canada's got a lot of energy. They've got a lot of pace on the team, a lot of speed. They've got players that can really hurt Chile. So Canada might have to play a smarter game, a bit of a different game in the match than they played against Peru, particularly in the second half, the way that it went. But I feel as though Canada has players now, particularly with Johnny David scoring. I think we're looking for a little bit more from Alphonso Davies as well. I think Canada have got players that can seriously hurt Chile, yeah.